Dewey Bond was the individual that AMI hired in 1953 to open this office and man it, literally and figuratively, for a number of decades. Dewey has a degree in ag economics, actually a PhD from Michigan State University, and was AMI's presence in D.C. for 2.5 decades or so. But we'll find out more directly from Dewey when he shares with us his reflections. We're just thrilled, Dewey, to have you with us. Whenever I see Dewey, I always refer to him as the ageless Dewey Bond. Well, if you do this before and after comparison, I think you'll agree with me that Dewey Bond is certainly aging well. And it has to do with something about the meat in your diet, I would presume. Right. So, Dewey, please join us here and share with us your reflections of your time at AMI.
Thank you, Patrick. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I joined the AMI in 1953. I have to correct Patrick. I was in Chicago for 3 years. In 1956, I came to Washington. My office was in the press building. I was there from the press building to 1974. And that's when Secretary Ling, former Secretary Ling, who became president, he brought the office from Chicago here. I regretted that move drastically because I didn't want these people from Chicago interfering with what I was doing in Washington. The industry has really changed since my day in 1953. In those days, the major companies were all in Chicago, as he pointed out. Most of the stockyards and the packing plants all had headquarters in Chicago. Swift, Armour, Wilson, Morrell, so forth. Those companies have changed greatly. I'm not sure. I guess there is a Swift company now, but it's different. Armour's gone. Wilson's gone. Morrell's gone. Their labels are still available, but their companies have changed. I think probably the most significant thing that happened in the last 50 years was the passage of the Humane Slaughter Act. In those days, I can remember going to the hearings, and Mrs. Roger Stevens was the main instigator for this. Roger Stevens was treasurer of the Democratic National Committee. When Mrs. Stevens walked into the hearing room, Hubert Humphrey and George McGovern were promptly watching her and trying to get her eye, because Mr. Stevens, treasurer of the Democratic Party, was quite instrumental in their future possibilities. Anyway, Mrs. Stevens did a great job, and the industry went along with it, and it was I think it was a very significant change for the best. And the industry went along with the passage of the act. In the picture, 50 years ago, the USDA had a celebration. I was here for that in 1956. AMI salutes the Federal Meat Inspection. I'll pass these around. AMI salutes Federal Meat Inspection. Here's the 50th anniversary of the Federal Meat Inspection Act, a great nice booth. Here's the National Meat Canners had a booth there that year, and this is a celebration. Here's Secretary Benson at the celebration, and this man in this corner is president of George A. Hormel. He spoke. This is Dr. Clarkson, who was head of over meat inspection, and anyway, I have many pictures from that. At the same time, about a year ago today, the Federal Food and Drug Act was celebrated their 50th anniversary, and they had a big wing-ding at the Mayflower Hotel. And this is the table seating of all the people attending the 50th anniversary of the Food and Drug Act on June 27, 1956, at the Mayflower Hotel. And that contains a who's who of the food industry back 50 years ago. They were all present. I don't think I have much else to say, Patrick. I appreciate being here, and I don't think I'll make the 150th one.